Hi everybody, Kasha Dupuy from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. Thanks for joining me today for our STEAM story time on this rainy, kind of gloomy day. So since it's kind of, a low energy kind of day due to the way the weather makes us feel, you know what, I thought we'd talk about energy. It kind of worked this week. So welcome again to our STEAM story time. So I'm Kasha Dupuy from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. And thanks for joining us. So if you're here and you're going to be staying with us for the whole story time, amazing. Thank you very much. I can see the comments now on an iPad that I'm looking at while I'm watching. So if you have a shout out or if you want to say hi, please let me know. I can answer you right away. If you aren't able to stay the whole time, don't worry. We do post all of these videos on our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you are an educator, a teacher, or a parent, and you want to use these in any kind of learning or planning in the future, you are more than welcome to do so. We love to hear where they go, because once they leave our channels, we can't always see. So you totally have our permission to do it, but if you want to let us know if you use them in your room or your class or your virtual learning environment, please let us know. Okay, so we'll just wait a minute or two to get started, but that will give me time to do our regular housekeeping items. So my internet the last week has been, knock on wood, really, really good. So hopefully it won't be dropping or anything like that. If it does, don't worry, I'll get right on data and I'll be right back. I won't abandon you. Also, just like every other week, like you most of you are at home. I'm also at home. That means my boys are in the living room. They're playing, they're actually jumping off the couches right now. I'm surprised if you won't be able to hear them. And my dogs, who are the opposite of my kids right now, they are actually sleeping on the couch. So this gloomy weather is making them all nice and cozy right now. So we'll see. Sometimes when I start talking, they want to come over and snuggle. So we'll see. But you know what? Let's get started with this week's STEAM story time. So we're going to be exploring energy and forces, and we're going to explore two different ways that we can experiment with these kind of ideas. And a book that we just recently got for the library that we're going to read today is called The Backyard Build. So it's an engineering book, and it's part of a STEAM story series. And this book is written by Jonathan Litton and illustrated by Magali Mansilla. And it was published in 2018 by Quarto Publishing Company. So these are some really great books. Thank you very much, Quarto, for letting us use these books today in our STEAM story time. I love the pictures in these books too. They're super fun. And they have a really great way of explaining some of these kind of simple machines engineering concepts. Okay, so let's get started. So this is The Backyard Build, an engineering book by Jonathan Litton and illustrated by Maggie Mansilla. This is my favorite color right now. I love this color. Turquoise and teal, I love them. Although it's really hard to pick favorite color all the time. Anyway. Susie and Max sat in the yard looking glum. The swing was broken, the soccer ball was flat, and their kite was stuck up a tree. "We don't have anything to play with," said Susie. "What shall we do?" "I don't know," replied Max gloomily. Just then, they heard a noise from Miss Gizmo's yard next door. They peeped over the fence. "Miss Gizmo has built a bird bath. How cool," said Max. "Maybe she could help us fix the old swing." "Great idea, Max," said Susie. "Let's ask her." "It's amazing what you can do with an old broom handle and a tray," said Miss Gizmo to herself. That's Miss Gizmo. And those little birds in there are going splish splash. She's being resourceful. She's using the stuff around her to make something new. Susie and Max asked Miss Gizmo to help. "Of course," she replied. "I'll bring my tools over, but you will have to design and build the swing yourself." "Great, I can just picture how the swing will look," said Max. So he's imagining how the swing's gonna look. "We've got some wood and some things we could use. What shall we do first?" asked Susie. Actually, she's thinking too. So he's thinking of what the swing's gonna look like, and she's thinking of the materials that they're going to need to build it with. Susie found a plank of wood for the swing. "This is the right size and shape to make a good, strong seat," she said. So there she's holding the seat. "What shall we use to hang the swing from the tree?" asked Miss Gizmo. "Shall we use the old rope or this chain?" That's a good question. This rope doesn't feel very strong, said Max, pulling on it. Let's try the chain. You're right, Max, said Miss Gizmo. If I pull hard on the rope, it might break, but the chain won't. So before they picked a material, they tested it to see which one would be best suited for the purpose, right? For what they were going to make. Miss Gizmo made 2 holes in the wood, then she fixed the chain to the seat with screws. Max and Susie took turns trying out the swing. It worked. Whee, she said. What would you like to build next? Asked Miss Gizmo. Let's make a seesaw, suggested Susie. We could use this old plank and tree trunk. How do we make it balance? That's what we're going to be exploring later. I have a really cool thing for you to do. We need to find the middle of the plank, said Max. How do we do that? Asked Susie. We don't have a tape measure. Maybe we could use our hands to measure how long it is, said Max. If the plank is 30 hands long, then we know that 15 hands is halfway. That's right, said Miss Gizmo. Yee-haw, said Susie. They balanced the plank of wood on top of the tree trunk. Miss Gizmo added 2 small logs to keep the plank in place. So see, there's the plank here, and then there's 2 small logs that Miss Gizmo added, and it keeps this log, the big log, in between them so it doesn't roll off and fall. So keep that in mind because we are going to do something like that later. Maybe not with logs. That'd be crazy. Although that'd be very strong. Next, Susie and Max gathered materials to make a slide. Shall we use bricks for the steps? Asked Susie. Good idea, said Miss Gizmo. What will you use for the slide? She asked. Max pointed to a sheet of plywood leaning up against the shed. What about that? He asked. So there's the plywood right here. Maybe, said Miss Gizmo. But do you think the wood will be slippery enough? This sheet of plastic looks super slippery, said Susie. Okay, so there's a sheet of plywood that's not super slippery. It's a little bit kind of rough. It has some friction. And then there's a sheet of plastic that looks pretty slippery. Which one do you think they're going to pick? Maybe talk to the people that you're in the room with and make a decision and see if you're right before we turn the page. So wood or plastic? What do you think would be better for a slide? Plastic is much smoother, said Miss Gizmo. And you won't get any splinters, she laughed. But although the plastic was slippery, Max couldn't slide down. Why can't I slide, Miss Gizmo? Asked Max. So see how they made a slide? But there's only a few bricks there. Let's see what Miss Gizmo's going to say. Miss Gizmo chuckled. It looks like we have another design problem to fix. What do you think we should do? She asked. So when you want to slide, is it like really low? Or what is it? Pretty high up maybe? Let's see. Ooh, there's that word. Let's make it steeper, said Susie. And she added a few more bricks to the steps. Together, they moved the top of the slide to a higher position. The slide worked perfectly. So they made it higher to have a steeper ramp, right? Just as they finished building their playground, rain clouds appeared in the sky. Kind of like last night. There was lots of rain last night. Oh dear, said Miss Gizmo. I haven't finished my bird bath. It needs a roof. And she hopped over the wall. I like Miss Gizmo. Susie and Max swung and seesawed and slid until the rain started. Let's build a roof for our playground tomorrow, they said. What clever little engineers they are. So look, Miss Gizmo made a roof out of a what? Can you see? What did they make the roof out of? It's a little umbrella. Yeah. So she jumped over the wall and made a roof for her bird bath out of an umbrella. So she's being very resourceful. So we're not going to talk about all of this on this page here, but this is one reason for parents and teachers and everyone who's watching that these books are so cool because it has this kind of like learning map at the end that breaks all the ideas down. So the engineering behind the story. So step 1, what they did, so what Susie and, Susie and Max did was they made a plan. First step was making a plan. The second step was choosing the materials So they chose and they experimented and they talked about the different materials they used. And then step 3 was that they solved the problem. They were being scientists and engineers, and they were experimenting, talking through, and making sure, and seeing what they could discover until it worked. Yeah, so they're problem solving. These books are so cool. Okay, so again, that was The Backyard Build, an Engineering Steam Stories book, written by Jonathan Litton and illustrated by Magali Mansilla. And again, it was published in 2018 by Quarto Publishing Company. So thank you again for letting us use this book in our Steam Storytime. I definitely think it's going to be one of our new favorites. We have a few others from this this series as well, so they'll probably be popping up on Steam Storytime in the next couple weeks. Okay, so let's explore some science. Let's make some stuff. So the first thing we're going to do, before I flip the camera around and show you what to build, is we're going to talk about Max and Susie when they were talking about building a slide. So I don't have a little mini slide, although I just realized we do have a little tiny one. But we're going to use what we have, and I have this glass dish. And I chose glass because this is pretty slippery. So to make a slide, to prop it up, to elevate it, to make it higher, I'm going to use these little Lego bricks. And you can see these little Lego towers. And you can see that these ones have 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're going to start with an elevation, so a height of 5, like this. And I'm going to move on my stuff. Hopefully you can all see everything. And if not, I can always switch the camera around because, like you, I'm learning every single time. And I'm going to make a ramp. Okay, so I thought of different things that we could send down the ramp to experiment with how things slide. But we have some marbles, but marbles kind of go, they move really easily because they're round, right? There's not too much friction that would stop them from moving. So I decided to use these little cubes. So I have little tiny cubes here, and actually we have rainbows. So we're going to go with like a rainbow theme the next couple weeks, because why not? Rainbows are awesome, right? So we have some rainbow cubes here, and I'm going to start with yellow, and we're going to see if this slides. Okay, so put it at the top, and it kind of slides. Oh, it slid all the way down. So I think the elevation is okay, because this little cube keeps sliding. That means that this is very smooth, and it's steep enough for the cube to slide. Now if we wanted to make it a little bit higher, I'm going to take 2 blocks, and this is something you can play with at home. Maybe not with a glass dish, maybe check with your parents and see what they can find, or what you can find together that is nice and slippery. Like a cookie sheet would work really good, or if you have a piece of metal or plastic. See, we made it steeper, and that one definitely slides. So it's the higher that this is, the steeper it is, the easier gravity pulls things down, and gravity is what pulls things down on the planet. It's like a force we can't see, but it's always around us, and it helps bring things down the ramp. Okay, so let's experiment with some different materials. So we know that a cube, I've showed you a bunch of times, but a cube will go down like that on the little ramp we've made. Now I wonder about a piece of tinfoil. So tinfoil is shiny, and it looks very smooth, and it is pretty smooth, but sometimes there's these little ridges that happen in tinfoil. And I'm just going to rub my nails so that it holds on there. Now let's see, what do we think? Talk to the people with you, around you. Let's see if this little cube will slide down the ramp. Are we ready? So I've taken some tinfoil, I put it on top of my ramp, my steep ramp that I made. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh, look it. It's slippery, but it's not as slippery as the glass. Okay, let's try another one. Maybe, see if I jiggle it, it will go. But let's see. Oh, did the same thing. Let's try another one. Let's try over here. Oh, that one goes. So here is a little bit slippery. Maybe just the angle. It's positioned differently. So that kind of worked. It's not as slippery as the glass, but it's pretty slippery. So, tinfoil, test 1. So we found this old, well, it's not really old, it hasn't been used. It's a Christmas paper bag. That's the only paper bag I had in my house. But what we're going to do is we're going to see, because this is pretty slippery, let's see if this is going to be as slippery as the tinfoil or the glass. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Ooh, so let's try a few more. That's what scientists do. They try the same thing over and over again. So they are sliding easier than the tinfoil. Oh, maybe not that one. Maybe if I, maybe there's something here that's uneven. Ah, let's try another one in the same spot. Ready? Kind of took it with it. So there must be something here that's a little bit uneven, but if we put them over here, they slide a little bit easier. Okay, interesting. This is all about experimenting and trying different kinds of materials to see what slides easy and what doesn't. Now, we have this one. What is this stuff? This is sandpaper, and sandpaper is pretty rough. If you've never felt sandpaper before, it's little tiny bits of sand and rock that are stuck to paper with glue, and it's pretty rough. Let's see, what do we think? Talk to the people around you. What do you think is going to happen with this piece of sandpaper? Okay, ready? So, ready? 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it didn't slide, but it rolled. So that's interesting. So it didn't slide down there, but it rolled down because each little part of the square was catching on the paper, and it's steep enough that gravity was pulling it down. Now if I take one of these away off each one, so go back down to 5, like so. Let's see if it's gonna slide. Ready? Still slide, so it's still steep enough to pull. Oh, there we go. Didn't go anywhere. Let's try another one. Interesting. Oh, that one still rolls. Okay, so enough of watching me do it. This is something that you can do at home to experiment with some different materials and see what slides and what doesn't. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's move this out of the way. And then I'm going to flip the camera over because we talked about a slide and told you how you can experiment with that at home. But I'm going to show you how to make your very own seesaw or teeter-totter. So I'm going to go like this, and there you go. You can see my messy room. Oh, and the puppies are making noise, of course, right? Okay, let's move these here. I love those. So our STEAM Storytime sign. In case you don't remember, or you need a reminder, STEAM Storytime stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art, and Math. So today we've done a lot of engineering. Oh, actually, sometimes this can stand for environment too. But today we're looking at it from an engineering perspective. So we're looking at how things work together and how we can build things to make them do things. So let's take the sign away. And I'm going to reopen the page. Actually, look, conveniently, it is right on the front here. So we have Susie and Max, and they're on the seesaw. And these are the different parts of a seesaw. So we have the plank is right here. We have this part here, the big log, is actually called the fulcrum. These pieces, I'm not quite sure what the name of. I think it's just like a way to hold it in, kind of like a safety thing, a measure to kind of keep everything together. And then we have Max and Susie, and they actually have names too. So I have this little chart here that I drew because I love drawing things. Anyone else love drawing stuff? I just love drawing stuff. And what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna give these names so you know what it is. So this long piece here, because this is called a lever. This whole thing is called a lever. Things that go up and down over a middle spot. So this is a lever, and this piece here is called the plank. Just like that, okay? The other thing, or we can also call it a beam. It's got two names, plank or a beam. So that's what this piece right here is. The other things that are on here, this is the most important part for a lever because it's something that the plank or the beam moves over, and it's in the center so that it has an equal side here. So this is called, and it's a long word, it's called a fulcrum. Can you guys say that? Fulcrum. So in Max and Susie's seesaw, this log here is the fulcrum. Fulcrum. Now, Max and Susie, yes, they have names. That's Susie, that's Max. But they also have different names on the seesaw. So what you need is a load. So this is the heavy thing. That's on one side. So we're going to put load here. I should have made that a capital A and a capital D to keep consistent. So load. And that's the heaviest part on the lever. And then we need something to try to move the load. So if you push down on this side of the beam, the load should go up or down. So you can weigh and see if something is heavier or lighter. And that's actually, I looked it up, it's actually called the effort. Oh, my marker's dying. Effort. So these are all fancy names for saying and showing you how a seesaw works. So we have something heavy, we have things that are lighter or heavier to kind of lift this up, and you definitely need a fulcrum right here to make the plank or beam move. Because if you had the beam on the ground, it doesn't really go anywhere because the ground's in the way. This gives it a little bit of space so that it can move like so. Okay, so let's move this over here by our rainbow, so you can maybe still see it in the picture. And I'm going to show you how to build your very own lever or seesaw using stuff you probably have at home. Now, we all have this at home. What is this thing? This is a toilet paper roll. Okay, we're gonna use it like this, but I'm gonna put it that way so it doesn't roll around. You're also going to need 2 pieces of cardboard, just like so. And these are from a waffle box because you've been eating lots of waffles the last couple of weeks. And it's okay if they're not exactly the same size. Like, see how this one's a little bit shorter? That's okay. We just need them to be able to go together like this, okay? So, you're also going to need a straw, and you're going to need a pair of scissors to cut. Now, if you, adults, this is your job to make sure that you trust your child with scissors and show them how they work. Kids, should you just go grab a pair of scissors and cut this yourself? No, make sure you always ask a parent first, just so nobody gets hurt. It's not fun accidentally getting snipped by scissors. I've done it before. And then of course you need some glue. I'm using a hot glue gun today so I can show you really quickly. But if you only have white glue, don't worry, you just have to let this stuff sit for a little bit, okay? So the very first thing we're gonna do is we're going to glue these two together. So I'm gonna go like this. Just like so. And then I'm just gonna put that straight on there. Now, because this one is a little bit shorter, I don't mind because I'm gonna make this the bottom and this is the top, okay? So now what we have to do is try to find the middle as best we can for this. So I'm just gonna eyeball it like so. And I'm going to take a marker or a pen and you're going to put one line on one side of your toilet paper roll and one line on the other side. Now, if you're making this with somebody, it's a lot more helpful to have someone hold this in the middle and then the other person draw the lines, okay? So work together. This is a really cool project you can do together. So we have these 2 lines and these are going to be where we put these little straws right here. So I'm gonna take my straw and I have these bendy straws like that, and that's actually just about the right size that I want. So I'm gonna take this and cut that bendy part off. And I'm gonna cut that little bendy part off over here too. And put it somewhere safe so nobody eats it, little brother or dog or cat or something. And I'm going to cut 4 about the same size. So I'm gonna measure it right there and cut. And I'm gonna take the same one, measure it at the end there, and cut it like so. Oops, that flung really far. And then measure this last one here and cut. Okay, that one, oh, you know what? I'm gonna get that before somebody else eats it. Okay, so we have our 4 pieces. So what we have to do now is we put a line of glue right on top there. And be careful if you're using hot glue so you don't burn yourself. And we're going to put 1 just like that. And then to double it up, make it extra strong, we're gonna do another line of glue right on top of there. And we're going to build that one up just like that. And I like using hot glue because it dries really fast so that you can build them up a little bit easy. It's up to you, use what you've got. I'm just gonna make sure that it's gonna fit one more time. Oh yeah, that'll fit. And then I'm gonna do another line of glue here, like so. And then I'm gonna do another line of glue. So I'm kind of building up like a little straw wall. Can you guys see that? So, and we're gonna go like this and put another straw like so. So we have what looks like, can you see that? There's the beam and there are those 2 little safety parts so that the fulcrum can't roll around. It kind of keeps it in place, and then this is our fulcrum. So this is going to be the middle part of our seesaw here. So if I take this, I'll show you upside down first. We're gonna put it like that. And how it's gonna sit is like so. So look, we've made a little seesaw, just like so. Now, if this moves around a lot, you can put some seeds or beans or something heavier in here. But basically what you can do, if you hold it like that too, well, balance is pretty good already, but I can start to put some stuff on here to see if it will balance. Let's see, so I'm gonna put 2 and 2 and 2, and let's see if it'll balance. Just like so. Well, you know what? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. That's part of being a problem-solving engineer. Right, Frankie? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, sweetie?
I changed my mind. I want to go on the island.
Okay, go ahead, sweetie. Okay, so go ahead and build your very own seesaw or lever at home using these materials. Simple stuff you can find at home. And you know what? Because you're all engineers and scientists, see if you can find a different way to make it. You can use your creativity and develop or discover new ways to make these really cool levers and ways to become an engineer. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me today. Hopefully got some good ideas to play with and explore. So we talked about different ways that they built things to play with in the backyard. So there was a swing, there was a slide, and there was a seesaw. We explored sliding using all these materials and the blocks. We talked about parts of a lever, which is a seesaw, and I showed you how you can build your very own lever at home. There you go. Okay, so thanks for joining me again. Hopefully you're going to enjoy the rest of this kind of rainy, relaxing, let's say, Wednesday afternoon. If you are going to be using this in any of your lesson plans or you want to watch it again, no problem. We're going to be uploading it to our YouTube channel right after this. And of course, if you have any questions or comments or feedback or anything like that for me, please send me an email at kdupuy@nautilpl.org. So I forgot my little card today, but it can be written in the comments, kdupuy@nautilpl.org. Oh, hi, Nicholas. How's it going? Nice to see you. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you'll have fun building and experimenting with some of this engineering things that we talked about today. Okay. Hope everyone has a great rest of your Wednesday, and we will see you here next Wednesday at 11 o'clock for our, can you believe it? Week 10 is next week of STEAM Storytime. Week 10, crazy. Okay, bye everybody. See you later.